Welcome to In a Prosecco, the podcast that raises a glass to moms who are transitioning from empty nester into the next beautiful phase of life as a free bird. I'm your host, Berni Slowey. I'm a mother of two sons who have grown and flown, and I'm also a former corporate executive, filmmaker, writer, speaker, and entrepreneur who has helped women transfer into their authentic selves to uncork their infinite sparkling possibilities. So whether you're sipping a Prosecco or your favorite beverage of choice, join me as we pop open today's message in a bottle. Welcome to another episode of In a Prosecco. Here we talk about empty nest syndrome and how to change the mindset to become a free bird, living fully as a free bird. And what does that even mean? Well, let's find out. I'm pouring the truth serum in my Prosecco, and I'm hoping that you're pouring one as well, or whatever beverage of choice. So if it's a Pellegrino or Perrier or whatever the choice drink, my intention is to just have a conversation as though we're both in a room together or sitting watching a sunset on the beach, on the lanai, on a patio, in the living room, because these were some of my best conversations about really navigating through life and what we were doing with our kids and having wonderful conversation to really have that support of sisterhood. So that is my intention here today as well, as we talk about what is a free bird. Free bird, what does that make you think of? Leonard Skinner, the all-time great classic rock anthem. It came out in 1973, and you know about it because even at a concert, people will light a lighter and say or scream out, "Free bird!" It is just a classic. And then when you really think about the lyrics, the song is about freedom, longing, and self-discovery. How appropriate as we shift the mindset of becoming that free bird. So true. I think of the structuring of a free bird is first we have to get in the right mindset, right? So reframing what that even means as an empty nester, and then rescripting how we tell the story of becoming an empty nester into a free bird, and then redirecting. How do we take action as a free bird? So first, reframing. I always used those three different steps of rescripting, reframing, rescripting, and redirecting because of the filmmaking experience that I had. When I turned 40, I was definitely going through a midlife crisis. I had left a 20-year career, didn't know what I was going to do next. It was just the height of the recession, and I still had young children at home. I knew that I wanted to be able to have something to be able to do, and my thought was to how could I transfer my corporate skills into something that had a lot of meaning and it was going to be heart-led. And so I had an idea for a TV show actually to take people to venerated places and discover why they were so special. So I didn't have any experience in the television industry. So this was a way that I thought if I did a documentary and found a way to bring in an interesting subject matter, then maybe it would be a calling card into the realm of television. So what happened though, however, as a result of really just taking about a month to prepare to go on a trip, I was invited to go to India to follow some spiritual teachers, and I was planning to get their backstory as they were going to a conference and then a tour through India. And then the moment that changed everything was when the project seemed to be falling apart, and it was my cobra moment, and it rattled me. I was so afraid to see a cobra. I mean, I'm in India and I've heard of snake charmers, but I didn't know the kind of reaction I was going to actually have when I saw the cobra because I thought the cobra was coming after me. When in fact, it was a moment that would change my life forever. It changed the trajectory of my life. And what I mean by that is that when I went back to look at the footage, that I thought this cobra was coming after me. Instead, I saw that the cobra was trying to escape. And that is the perspective and the lens of being both behind the camera and in front of the camera. So if you were to put yourself in that same kind of role, if you were to look behind the camera of what was going on in your life right now, things are changing, things are shifting. But what's magical is being able to see multiple perspectives, because as a free bird, you're able to actually take flight and soar over your life and see like things in a different perspective, through a different lens, and almost be able to see how unlimited your life can be right now. You don't have anything holding you back. Really, I mean, when you have, sure, we can think about finances being an issue. Time, of course, that's also very much a currency. The currency takes different forms. But the other piece of currency is that the lens can now turn back onto you. And what does that mean? This is an inner journey of exploration. It is, talk about a documentary of sorts. If you were to film your life story and having it on your life, how would you want your kids to view it? How would you want, to be able to be an influence for them as they have taken flight, so that not only are you allowing them to continue on their journey, but your journey, your next chapter is really beginning. So reframing, yes, have the feels, the emotions. And I think it's important to celebrate sadness in a way, because that be an indicator of how tied and how much you love your child, and that you're really giving yourself a chance to feel and work through that and process it. That is absolutely healthy. I mean, if we were kind of relieved, yes, that there's an element of that as an empty nester, but that sadness and that void. So really the void, that what is it that needs to be filled? So another reframing of sorts is really being able to identify, what is it that is missing in your life? If your children are gone, and, so really if you're thinking about reinvention, think of reinvention is not so much about we are and with a title, or what it means to, like, what am I doing today and for the rest of my life. I think reframing what it means to be a free bird is to really understand, who are we being? What is this next chapter going to entail as I step into not just a role or a title, because the role of mother is going to change, but you're still a mom. And the title at your work, or whatever it is that you decide to change or shift into, that's always just a label. The idea of really honing in on who we're being to our core is the essence of reframing what it means to be a free bird. Freebird is like really moving into your true self and really being able to be an example for what healthy change can look like. And that is transformative, because then others who are, we're going to have a whole new generation of empty nesters. That's ongoing. What it means for you, and how you ever show up with your career, with your friends, in the community, however that may appear. And to your spouse, I know that when I came back from India, and that huge experience was so incredible, transformational, and it also was a moment that my husband, I remember, asking me about, why I looked so different. And it seems like I had changed so much from this film project. And I could honestly say that it was because I felt that I had not changed, but had grown into my truer self. I was really stepping into the person that I've wanted to be and had meant to be. So I really feel that reframing is about state of being, not state of doing. So the distractions, to just not get the feels, not observe like what's really going on, or constantly texting or calling your kid who's now away. Allow for their time to soar so that you can take flight as well. Cheers to that one. All right, so the next way to be able to look at Freebird and really embracing it, so being as a Freebird, the words we choose and how we tell our story. So if we're going to be the best role model for ourselves, for our families, and for our friends, for others, what words are we using to describe what is a free bird? When I had first looked at how I was going to edit and tell the story of the filmmaking experience, I wrote out, really just writing out what my whole life was, starting from the time that I was born to the moment that I had come back from India on that film project. And when I read it, it was really interesting, from that to actually editing the story and what others were going to see. I realized that in much of my life, I had written it out as though I was a victim of life, that these are things that happened to me. And as I sat in the editor's bay with my editor and co-producer to really map out the story, and then with the writer coming together and to create the film story, it really was prolific, an aha moment, profound, to see that all the things that were happening, not just in India, but up to the point of India, were things that were happening and meant to happen for me. So to rescript the story as not the victim of my circumstances or victim of my children are leaving and they're leaving me and they might not call me and what are they doing, versus an empowered mentality, mindset of, wait a second, I'm in charge of my story. I'm victorious. I'm the victor. Look at how well my children are thriving. They were in such a hurry to start their new life. I did my job. I'm really excited to see what's next. And as part of that FreeBird mentality, now you get to write out your story about not only what your day looks like, but what is the rest of your life? What is the possibility going to look like for you? That's exciting. That's what we were meant to do anyway. Yes, of course, we were able to have the blessing of creating life and to have the role of being able to help create lives for others. And you did a really good job of it. And I know that I would beat up myself still today about, man, I wish I would have done things different. I'm going to change that story. I did the best I could. And even with my parents, the void that I felt that I didn't get what I wanted as far as like the nurturing and not feeling so abandoned when I was a child, to all those things made me stronger. All those things prepared me for all of my challenges. And for you to see that those things were making you stronger and that you are the hero of your story or the shero of your story. Everything that happened was on purpose. And when things seemed to me like things were falling apart in India, it was all falling into place so that I could step into my story and actually create a better version of it than I would have ever anticipated. Because I will tell you that if I would have known that the movie would have been about my story, I wouldn't have gone. I thought I was going to tell other people's stories. And the universe said, guess what? We know that. And that's why we're going to make it so that you get there. And then we're going to make you really vulnerable and then twist it so that the camera is actually on you, not when the other way around. So there's always a reason for everything that's happening. And to see that that free bird embraces it. Think about a caterpillar that has to cocoon, right? So the cocoon that is needing to go into feeling the change and needing to go into this metamorphosis period of the cocooning and crystallizing, and then waiting for that butterfly to have to break itself out of the cocoon, because it's not easy to step out into a whole new identity. This reinventing business is not easy. It is a process. But what happens with that caterpillar turning into the butterfly, breaking out of the cocoon, if it couldn't break itself out of the cocoon and go through that painful change and evolution, the butterfly wouldn't be able to fly. That is a fact, a scientific fact, that butterflies you cannot help the butterfly out of the cocoon. It will not have strong enough wings to fly. So think about everything that has led you to the point. However you parented, I am a firm believer of apologizing for things that you didn't know or didn't do, or however you were being. I think that is what has always brought me closer to my kids, is when I could recognize that I was actually in a place of power by saying, you know what, I didn't react very well to that, and being mindful about how I want to respond. So the story that we're telling ourselves as a free bird is in a place of empowerment. I'm owning my story. So I definitely encourage you to, as you script out, however you journal, however it is that you tell the story, be mindful of actually seeing yourself as the victor in this journey of becoming a free bird. So after you've reframed, looking through a new lens, becoming a free bird, and rescripting, what does it mean for a free bird? Because everybody's journey is different. FreeBird could have a different meaning for you and for others. For me, FreeBird was deciding how I wanted to actually live my life purpose in a way that it had a lot of meaning, and it has to be heart led for me. I have to feel as though this is an inspiration coming from inside. And that is very much, I think, the free bird, being able to kind of like a hawk. And hawk flies and is able to zone in, home, and then be a hunter of sorts to know that whatever the distractions are, it's about taking the action now. So, as a victor, as the free bird, that you get to own what it is that your next steps are going to be. Because making decisions now, of course, we probably have all done this where we made sacrifices for our family and we made decisions based on what it is we thought was best for the kids. Now, or even others, how many times do we often put others ahead of ourselves? I know that happens a lot. A lot of my friends, I witness it all the time. I do it still. And I don't want to say that as a people pleaser. I really believe that it's kind of a values thing as a mother and a nurturer. And as women, we tend to be the gatherers. You know, we've got the hunters and gatherers. And when you talk about cave times, that the hunters are the men, the physically strong men that are going out and finding dinner. And then the nurturers that are actually with the gatherers, making sure that there's food prepared and that the babies are nurtured and cared for. So this is new era, but we are looking at how are we being the best versions of ourselves to take that action. So whatever that might look for you, it's a different journey for everyone. And whatever your hopes, wishes, and dreams that maybe were paused as a result, now it's time to light it. Light the fire for that. Ignite. I believe that it's when you are in that redirecting mode of really becoming that free bird and taking action, it's not understanding what FreeBird is. It's understanding. Understanding meaning not only are you fully aware of what this means for you right now and what it is, your choices, and what are the next steps, whatever actions you're going to take, that inner knowingness is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And you can really navigate different labyrinths until you get there. There is no one way to do it. It's your way. And whatever that inspirational, that vein to gold that says, now I want to do this, however it shows up for you, that is redirecting your life so that it is truly about being able to take action the way that you would want to live your life fully, authentically, and on purpose. And we're going to have an episode that really hones in on that. What does that look like to redirect your life in this new phase? It takes some time and processing. So just look at this as a really cool time in your life to be able to go back to school. And in that inner journey, there's no holding you back because really the sky's not even the limit. There's a lot to explore. So however you're reframing to look at FreeBird, or even how fun it would be to re-script your story. What does that look like? How does that go? And we'll even go through an episode of really re-scripting. And there is a process, a hero's journey that Joseph Campbell writes about and taught about as far as when we watch any movie, there is a formula that is told and timed true to why we root for the hero. And that's you, so that you're mapping your life story so that you're allowing for your children to create their own. And that is pretty potent. So to redirecting, being able to see how life can actually, when you take action towards that inner journey of knowing who you really are, reinvention is not so much about the title anymore. It's about the state of being and who are you, being that lighthouse for others to encourage them that it's okay to take this life change and step into it fully. There's so many things to, I guess, from where you are standing today to look forward to tomorrow, but be really present for how you're feeling, how you're doing, and who you're becoming. Cheers until next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of In a Prosecco, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Rate and review the show, and please do comment and share ideas for topics that are important to you. A friend who cares is a friend who shares. Here's a toast to you on your re-inspirement journey. Cheers.